my levels, and you can rewatch it. Alrighty, so basically how I basically grab my levels of sorts is I draw fibs basically. So let me do an empty chart here. All right, let's do this on here on a NQ chart. So let's go on the 4-hour time frame. So what I do is I start in the larger time frames, right? And I try to go back like a year or so after the year's market has formed out. So, but I'm gonna go back all the way up to 2024, I believe. I think that's the best one. It was 2024. So let's go all the way to January 2024, where was our low here. This is 2023, January 2024. Alrighty. So we got our low. Let me expand this a little bit. So what you're going to do is get your Fibonacci retracement here. So when we do from top to bottom, you're finding price to the upside. So basically what I'm trying to do is going to go up to the highs here. So we have 656.75 and then go down all the way to, I think this is not my fibs. These are, wait, let me just make sure these are my fibs. 236. Oh, templates. Bullish fibs. There we go. Haha. All right, I got my fibs. All right, let's redraw this. So I'm just gonna pop the fib back up so you guys can see. 656 to 75. So this is basically the fibs are being drawn. So it's saved in the video, so you can replicate this. This is 0.236, 38%, 50%, 61%, 78%, basically 100%. And then we have 160, 261, 400, yeah, so forth. So from there, what I do is if you draw a price from the retracement from the top of the level, so the high 656.75. So I'll adjust this after. So I'm gonna try to get as close as possible. 632 is okay. And then what I'm trying to do here is try to find areas of support where we basically touch multiple times. So I'm gonna go all the way back to the 2024 area. So it looks like we have touch support in this area multiple times. So as you can see, we had like multiple touches, like one right here, multiple right here, one right here. So this is like a pinnacle point of where we have to hold basically. So I'll set that support area. There we go. And then I'm gonna adjust this, do extend to the right and the left, and then make my coordinates to the labels to the right here. I'm gonna turn off, where's percentages? Levels values, there we go. So I just only have the price on the sides right there. And then let me adjust the coordinates as well so I can have the precise high. So 656.75. There we go. Bam. So this is how I get my levels basically. So this is all on the 4-hour time frame. We can see areas that we reject, where we support at. Most likely price will support. You see, we can see pricing supporting every level and rejecting every level as well. And then for the downside, what I would do is I would draw my fib from the bottom, so from the low basically. So hold up, oh, let me delete this. Go span out back to 2024 here. Where are we at? 2023, 2024. So our new low is basically here now, so I should just draw it there. So since we recently made a new low, so I go start from the bottom. So let me delete this. Okay, so 1640.60 here. So I'll start from the bottom, 1640.60. I'll fix that after. So let me adjust this. So we want to make it 18,464.75. And then the low is 16,460. Oh, 560. There we go. So how I drew this is basically I got the midpoint where our support was acting as well as resistance as well. As you can see, we had like touches here. We rejected off of this basically. So I acted that as my point of control, I would call it. Like some people would call it point of control. I just call it as like an area where I saw a lot of support and people were touching it and everything. So I'll just draw my fib from there down to the downside to figure out what our price targets are to the downside are, and then hit OK. And then there we go. We basically have our pivots. But there's sometimes, right, we have like a 1,000 point move from 19,454 to 18,464. What I would do is do a fib cluster in between it because, you know, sometimes we don't move that much in points in a day, except for, you know, big news. So what I do is, since this is a price target to the upside from 18,460, 464.75, so I would draw from here down. So, and I'll adjust it. So let me adjust it so I can see the level. So we got 19,454, 454 as the level from the main one we drew. And then we have 464.75. 464.75. Bam. Okay, so now we basically have our price levels that we should be holding above, basically. So now if I go in the smaller time frame, we can see the levels play out. As you can see, there we go. As you can see, we see the levels playing out right here. Perfectly fine. And it reacts perfectly the same. And then you see, you can do another fib cluster right here from 18,464 and 18,035, because we don't know what the levels are in between here. It's a big 400 point move. So we want some levels in between there as well. So since it's a downside price movement, so we have to go from 18,035.75. So I'm going to go up to here. So 18,035. 35. 75. Oh. 35. And then 75. And then we have the upside 18,464.75. There we go. And then there we go. We have basically our price targets to the downside. As you can see, there we go. So basically these are our price targets to the downsides on the levels basically of what we have for in this market condition right here in this zone basically. So you can just trade based off the levels. And then from there, you can use basically the indicators like liquidity here. Let me go grab liquidity. And then you can use orb as well here. So we implement these and then we can see that we have confluence with liquidity and fib levels that gives us like, hey, I should be long here, you know, because this is a good support area. Oh, I shouldn't be long here because we only have one confluence, which is a fib level. And sometimes the fib level could act on its own, but I'm waiting for the orb to form because I believe orb we have up here, and that's why it reacted up here. And you can have like an orb confluencing with that area level. See, as you can see, there we go. You have orb level confluencing with it. So you wicked up, hit 698, but sometimes my orb fib level can be down here. Depends how you make the prices and everything like that. And it can react and basically use it as confluence of trade thesis. Yeah, that 660 has been money. Yeah, but you can use that as confluence, take the trade to the downside for a short, because this is basically acting as resistance. Like 658, 698 is resistance level. You can short it. Just know that your risk is if price closes above there, you exit out of the trade. That's how I validate my thesis. If price closes above a certain price, I'll take out the trade, not touch it. Here, as you can see, we rejected, hit 363.50. I believe on mine, it would be 345 area, but same, almost around the same area. It's okay. You know, as long as you get this around the same area points and stuff like that, it reacts and stuff, you're perfectly fine. Yeah, so it's pretty good. But yeah, so that's how I draw my fibs. So if you guys have any questions like that, just feel free to ask. I can send this chart layout for you guys so you guys can have this fib layout basically. So let me rename this. Sharing, rename Andy manual level trading. There we go. Another thing too is like I started doing this more is I add like go algo suite, right? Damn it, I missed that orb midline. Fuck. Damn, that was actually a good orb midline. Good shit, MSol. You caught that? Damn. Dude, that midline has been paying. All right, so I turn off show rating. I turn off go trades only. I'll turn off this. I could put on take profits just so I can know. And then undo, where is it? Enable swing lows and highs so we can identify our basically highs and lows basically. So we can see what our prices are. And I'm going to turn off dashboard as well. Turn that off. We don't need that right now. Yeah. You can have it open. It'll tell you if we're ranging or not and stuff like that. So it's pretty useful information. But we are in a range right now, basically. So let's, there we go. Dashboard's off. And now we can see our highs and lows, and everything. So you can identify. Yes, I'll be posting the fib bound breakdown later. Yes, I will after this. And then basically that's it. There we go. That's my chart setup right there. And then I'll put it in the video as well. I'll link the chart setup and everything in the video so you guys can copy the chart layout since you guys have access to the indicator and source like that and use it for manual trading. Sounds good? Hope that helped you guys out right there. What settings did you turn off? Algo. So yeah, here, let me send the chart layout. You can copy it basically. Here, I'll send it in this chat so you guys can copy it. There we go. You can copy it basically right over to your main chart and stuff like that. There we go. All set. All right, let's go back to trading.